To begin this journey, we couldn't have asked for a better guest.
I started my scientific journey, then eventually genetic education has been founded. Our initial plan was to focus on the biological sex determination. These are the third gender people that are living in India and Bangladesh and nearby Asian countries. Our major finding for my particular project was means they have mixed type of reproductive abnormalities.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Genetic Education Podcast. I'm your host, Sanjeevni Jain, and I'm so excited to kick off this journey with you. This podcast is all about making genetics simple, engaging, and meaningful for everyone. And to begin this journey, we couldn't have asked for a better guest. Joining us today is Dr. Tushar Chauhan, Director of Genetic Education. Dr. Tushar Chauhan completed his PhD on the genetics of third gender, has published 7 peer-reviewed research papers, and written over 500 blog articles to spread awareness about genetics. In today's session, we'll explore his scientific journey, his doctoral research, the challenges he faced, and discuss important topics like the meaning of XX male syndrome for common people and his vision for the future of genetic education. So let's dive in. Dr. Tushar, could you begin by sharing with us your scientific journey?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Sanjeevni. I started my scientific journey. I worked in all three formats, like I was in research, academics, and diagnostic as well. I was a part of a genetic laboratory in 2015. Then I moved to academics. Okay. And after that, I moved on to the research. But in like after completing my PhD, I find out my interest in writing and sharing knowledge and research. So I started writing blogs in 2018, and then eventually genetic education has been founded, and since then me and my team is running genetic education, where we are sharing content in the form of text videos, making genetics interesting, insightful, and simpler for everyone to understand. And we have very good response in these like 7 and 8 years. So yeah, this is my you can say a bit smaller scientific journey.
Okay, sir, that's really a good initiative taken by you to spread genetics to a wider public, to a wider audience. So, sir, what's your doctoral research was all about? Like, what was it?
So when we started, our initial plan was to focus on the biological sex determination, that is to understand the genetic basis, which is the biological basis of how the gender is decided, that we already know. But we want to explore more about the third gender people at biological level, what their chromosomal constituents are, what happenings at DNA level, all of these things. So we choose a very generic topic to go with eunuch. These are the third gender people that are living in India and Bangladesh and nearby Asian countries. Okay, it is a very, you can say, spiritual community of third gender people, and we started with them. And our idea was to gradually go with the topic in future. But yeah, after PhD, due to several problems in sample collection and fund and all of these things, we eventually dropped the idea to continue the topic.
Okay, okay, sir. But, sir, I think you might have faced quite a lot of issues while your research because it is such a taboo topic in India. So, how did you manage all of it?
It is still, it is a taboo topic. And yeah, we face so many difficulties during that research time, as there are many with everyone. Those common challenges are related to research and lab work and all of these things. But we have to especially face the problems related to sample collection. As we know, these people in India, mostly these eunuch people, are mostly uneducated and they are living a taboo life, and that's why we often face so many problems to convince them for giving us a samples and doing research. Sometimes even they argue with us, and that heated argue convert into fight as well. So we find several ways to contact them, to make them understand, to help them in building their communities as well. And by doing so, we get some trust from their side, and then several people from their community, they give us permission to take samples, and we collect the samples that we want for our research, and that's what these entire things happen. But this is challenging procedures. For entire 5 years of research, at least 3 years invested in sample collection only, so that is a difficult part. In addition, managing funds, because at that time we were doing microarray in 2014 and 15, I guess. So that was also challenging because per sample cost was very high and so things. Yeah, the entire journey was challenging, but eventually we done that. Me and my fellow peers and our guide, we done that very amazingly. And that's all about what we have faced.
Okay, that's amazing, sir. And also, like for our audience, for our normal audience, could you please explain what is XX chromosome? Like, what is it to common people?
Yeah, our major finding for my particular project was the XX male. So, as the term in scientific language, it shows that those are the person biologically are male, but they have genetically female constitute. That is the XX part. Now, what happened here? The two samples that we have collected, the two persons were initially born as a male. The doctor decided their gender as a male, but we asked them about what is their phenotype, secondary and primary sexual characteristic. So they were not clear. Okay, they have no clear male or female gonads. That means they have mixed type of reproductive abnormalities. But after they become, we can say, young, they enter into young age, they realize that they are feeling more like a female and they convert into female. And after then, they were living their life as a female. Okay, so we collected all this information about their initial life and what they are doing right now. But shockingly, we find out that they have XX chromosome. That means genetically they were female but born as a male. We done microarray analysis as well to find out whether any type of SRY genes traces are there on the X chromosome, but unfortunately that was not work for us. We didn't find anything related to SRY genes, but that is also true that some sex reversal doesn't have such kind of things. So it's a kind of a bit tricky condition for them, like at a biological level, at a physical level, and at a genetic level. All these things are very mess, we can say.
Okay, yeah, definitely, sir. And also, like, how do you think it helped the society, like your research?
See, basically, our idea was when we initially prepared our synopsis, the back idea about how this research will help the society was to convey something which validate the status of third gender people. Okay, for let's say if we go for any biological identification without our physical appearance, anyone can with the sample can tell us that whether we are male or female, and that is not possible in the case of eunuch, or we can say in general third gender people. So the idea was clear: we'll develop a genetic identification, or we can say establish a genetic base for them. Based upon those identification, they can proudly tell the world that we are third gender people. Okay, so that was the whole idea. It is just like the Klinefelter syndrome, which is very well known, okay, and any other chromosomal abnormalities. But these XX male sex reversal, or we can say XY sex reversal, are very uncommon. It's like one in a million condition, and that's why when we reported, it is like a few cases from India when we reported these conditions. So definitely, it will help the third gender people to establish themselves genetically in the society.
To make an
Yeah,
identity
exactly.
of themselves. And what do you think is the future plan for this? Like, have you ever thought about it?
As I told you, that it is very difficult to collect the sample, which is the main source for any research. So after completing the PhD, we decided to not continue with the project. The reason is it is very costly, because it is like we can say diving into the sea without any direction. Okay, we don't have any direction whether we will get information at a chromosome level or at a gene or DNA level. Okay, and that's why every sample needs genome wide analysis, and that is very costly procedure as well. So there are two types of major difficulties we have. That is the fund to do at a genome level analysis for all the samples and to collect the samples itself. So due to these reasons, we discuss these problems with my guide and fellow scientists, and we decided that it is very difficult unless government bodies or any NGOs will interfere in the project and they will take care of sample collection and all of these things, and that was not happening, and that's why we dropped the idea to continue
Their
the
support.
project. But in future, I am still very curious about doing these things, and let's see we are still in contact with some NGOs as well, and we are trying to push them to help us in sample collection. And if you find some funds from government or organization, me and our team at Genetic Education are very much interested to continue the project.
That's amazing. That was all. Thank you so much for making time for us and doing this with us. It was a very informational podcast for sure, and I hope that our audience benefits from it.
Yeah,
And
thank you,
yes, thank you so
Sanjeevani.
much, sir.
Let me tell you that we are starting a series as you just announced, and this is, we call it a mini podcast, raw and real. That means we will shoot such podcast which is very real and raw. No more, like we can say, more editing and all of these things. We invite scientists from various domains, obviously in the field of genetics across the world, and we'll try to spread their research, and we'll try to provide information about novel research, what is happening around the world, what different scientists, what various scientists are doing in various corner of the world, so that students, other peers, and other scientists and your professional can get insight about novel research and different angles in the field of genetics. That's the whole idea, and this is the first step. Now onward, we'll try to publish two podcasts, which is very short, like 7 to 10 minutes of podcast every week, so that student can continue to explore more in the field of genetics. They can connect with scientists, they can get inspiration, they can contact them, and if they have any problems or want to expand their knowledge or want to expand their research, we can say horizon, they can connect to us or them. That is the whole idea. It's like building a community of scientists for genetics. Yeah.
For genetics. Okay, sir,
Yeah.
thank you so much again, and I hope our audience finds it really informative.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you so much,
Sanjeevani.
sir.
It means a lot. And from now onward, at Genetic Education, we'll try to bring science, we try to bring genetics to all students, peers, scientists, and common people. Thank you so much. Yeah.